All right, everyone. So the newest chapter of the Boruto manga is going to be released in a couple of days, and we have the full summary of what happens in the chapter. Now, I probably shouldn't have to tell you this, but this video will contain spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled on the upcoming chapter of the Boruto manga, then this is your chance to click up, okay? If you're still here, as always, I'm going to assume you are okay with spoilers. Now, let's get to these spoilers and see what happens in this chapter. And of course, guys, when the chapter officially gets released, I will be doing a review. So if you don't want to watch this video where I go over what happens in the chapter, then just wait for that video where I review the chapter when it's officially released on the Viz app or on the Viz website, whichever you use to read the newest chapter of the Boruto manga every month when it comes out. So let's go ahead and get to these. And of course, thanks to Abdul for posting these for us. All right, so let's get to them. So the chapter title is From the Bottom of One's Heart. The chapter begins where it left off last month. Shikamaru suggests to Ada that she should defect to Konoha in order to stay close to Kawaki. Excuse me. Shikamaru says, "Don't you think that's the best way to get along with Kawaki?" Side text is the lab is in a state of chaos. Shikamaru suddenly proposes to invite Ada to Konoha. Ada then looks thoughtful and starts thinking about Konoha. The panel then switches to Amado and Code. Code then warns Amado, "Stop skipping out on your responsibilities." Immediately, he confronts Ada about what she's doing. Ada doesn't look happy to be confronted by Code. Shikamaru immediately notices something different: Ada's left eye. So I just want to talk about this real quick. So a lot of people have been saying that there's going to be a bit of a rift between Ada and Code, and we've already seen a little bit of that in some of the previous chapters, especially when it comes to how Code has been acting. Ada has not been happy about that, especially in the last chapter when it seemed like Amado was about to say something important, and then all of a sudden Code interrupts, and Ada was not happy about that. So yeah, it seems like this might continue the rift between Ada and Code. Before the scene changes again, Ada's eyes are once again focused. Shikamaru looked worried and also sweating, wonders what she's trying to do. Naruto appears running and heading towards Amado's lab. He uses the login password to enter the lab, but the door isn't opening. He wonders to himself if Shikamaru is safe for not being able to enter the lab. He begins to scold himself. Suddenly, Shikamaru makes contact with Naruto, who is just outside the lab. Shikamaru says, "I'm trying to protect you from our enemy's technique, so could you please wait there for a moment? I don't have time to explain it right now." And he continues trying to convince Naruto that this is a delicate situation and he shouldn't get interrupted in there. Boruto and Sasuke then suddenly appear right behind where Naruto is, excuse me. Boruto says, "Dad," and then the scene switches back to the lab. Immediately, Ada realizes what is happening without batting an eye. She says that Naruto is outside and that the door has been locked for his safety so that Naruto and others can stay away from her abilities. Shikamaru is shocked by her perception and wonders what that means. But then it doesn't take long for him to realize and say, completely choked, "It's Senrigan." Okay, so yes, I was really scared when Shikamaru mentioned Senrigan. It is then understood that this power is already something known within the universe of Naruto, although it's new to us readers. It's apparently not for the characters. So people in the Naruto universe already know what the Senrigan is. Yes, just like it said right here, we only just found out about it recently in the Boruto manga, but apparently characters in the universe already knew what it is, just like how in the Naruto manga, people already knew what the Rinnegan was because they heard myths about it, but it was new to us. Like, we only just got introduced to it, and we were learning things about it from characters who already knew about it, and they were explaining it to us. So this isn't something that's completely new. Or it's interesting because a lot of people have been wondering whether the Senrigan is something that Amado gave to Ada, but from what this chapter says, it's possible that Ada was just born with the ability was just born with it. Like, it's her, I guess you could say it's her Kekigenkai, like, how the Sharingan is to Sasuke, and other Kekigenkai like Lava Release, Boil Release, you're just born with that ability. Maybe Ada was just born with it. So maybe it's not an ability that was given to her by Amado. Maybe he did give her that, maybe he did give her the ability to enchant people, who she comes into contact with, or she just just looks at them and then all of a sudden they're caught in her ability. Maybe that's something she was also born with, or maybe that was something that Amado gave her. At the moment when Shikamaru thought about Senrigan, he's in a mental connection with Amado via Ino's jutsu. The impression it gives is that Amado didn't know about Ada's ability. Okay, so yeah, again, unless Amado's lying, he's not the one who gave Ada the Senrigan. So all the people who I guess made theories saying that Amado was the one who gave Ada and Damon these abilities, I guess this chapter kind of confirms that that's not true. Like he didn't even know she had this ability. But then he tells Shikamaru that she probably doesn't just see the present, but she should also be able to see things from the past as well. Shikamaru believes that at least what they are mentally talking about cannot be heard. Okay, so they do. Okay, so not only does he know about it, but he also knows its limitations, which is good. Ada starts talking about what they probably think of her, but then reveals that she has no reason to be Konoha's enemy in the first place. Excuse me. Shikamaru says that she can be relatively considered an enemy of Konoha since she is by Code's side, and then he asks what's the smartest choice, if it's Code or the village. The scene switches to Kawaki, who is already awake next to Sumire, and says, I am really glad that Boruto is safe. She says, Sumire continues trying to talk to Kawaki, who remains silent for a minute. This was a tough decision, wasn't it? The panel draws attention to Kawaki's karma. He then finally speaks. This bastard Amado, he already restored the karma without my consent. They go on talking about karma and when Amado probably placed it on him. He also admits that the fact that he has karma now may be a result of his own desire to have it restored. Kawaki goes on to talk about being grateful that he had karma for the first time, because if it weren't for the mark, the 7th Hokage would probably be dead by now. Well, that's the thing, we don't know because we never saw him fight. We never saw him fight Code, so we don't know whether he would have been able to fight them or not, because they keep they keep jerking us around with Naruto and Sasuke. We don't really know what they can do right now. It's just kind of left up to speculation. The title is finally explained in the next line, where he realizes that he needs the karma from the bottom of his heart. Sumire then begins to reflect and relay her thoughts to Kawaki on what she believes to be Amado's real intentions in this regard. Kawaki listens as she gives her thoughts on Amado's obsession over his karma. The scene switches back to the lab. Amado screams in pain as Code sinks his claws into his left shoulder. It's all your fault that things are going so slowly. He demands at this moment for Amado to start saying the command in order to remove the limiters from his power. Amado desperately calls for Shikamaru in their mental chat to help him, but Shikamaru asks him to wait a little longer as Code won't kill him, as he needs him alive to remove the limiters. But Amado doesn't believe he can wait any longer. The panel focuses on Ada's eye one more time. In a desperate way, Ada lightly says that she wants to go home. Code says, what's wrong with you? Ada then replies that Kawaki is coming. Code seems afraid at a certain point. Well, that's because he knows he's going to get his ass kicked. Now he needs to rush to get his powers back with Amado. Shikamaru finally realizes what Code is thinking. Amado and Shikamaru are still talking via telepathy about Kawaki. The two begin to argue because now Shikamaru believes that Kawaki might be able to go head to head with Code and Ada, but he continues arguing that Kawaki shouldn't be in there. At this point, Amado looks like he's prepared for the worst. Okay. Shikamaru and Amado continue their conversation via Ino's telepathy. Ko still has his claws punctured into Amado's left shoulder collarbone. Shikamaru and Amado begin to argue over what Amado is allowed to say and what he isn't allowed to say in front of the enemy. Hey, you two, this isn't the time to be arguing, Ino says. As Amado was having a conversation with Shikamaru, Code opens up a claw-marked portal and pushes Amado through. As Amado begins to descend into the portal, Shikamaru is shown to have a shocked expression. Code says, well, we'll just have to do it over there, and I didn't want to bring him into the lair. Shikamaru screams Amado as Code is shoving or kicking Amado through the portal. Ada reminds Code to hurry before Kawaki arrives. Kawaki's almost here. Hurry, Code. So, okay. Well, Ada being afraid of Code Ada being afraid of Kawaki making it there, because then Kawaki will see that Ada's working with the enemy, and her, I guess, dream of being with Kawaki would kind of go out the window, because he'll never be okay with anyone who was helping Code, who of course wants to kill Naruto, considering his obsession over Naruto. So her being afraid makes perfect sense. Maybe she's not afraid because Kawaki from a power perspective would be able to take her down. We don't know, because we don't know exactly how strong Ada is on her own. I mean, she admitted herself that all she could do is just basic taijutsu, but yeah, but she did look like she could take out Code even with his limiters removed. So, hey, who knows? Maybe she is that strong, even if she can only do just basic taijutsu. In an attempt to stop Code and Ada from kidnapping Amado, Shikamaru uses Shadow Possession Jutsu on Code and Ada. However, neither Code or Ada are fazed by this. In fact, Code says, "What is it now, you idiot? Do you really want to die that badly?" Shikamaru stalls for time by telling Ada to wait or visit Kawaki and see for herself. However, Ada didn't play into Shikamaru's hand. Ada instead summons Delta, who is shown to be sitting on the floor with a blush-like look on her face, which clearly suggests that she has fallen in love with Ada. She says, Delta, won't you help open up? As you can see, I'm in trouble. And then she just, okay, so she just commanded Delta to attack Shikamaru. So is that like a part of her power? Like, can she now command people who have been enchanted by her ability to just do whatever the hell she wants? Or maybe not. Maybe it's just Delta, because her ability affected Delta differently than anyone else. Because Amuro did say that her ability affects people differently. So maybe it's not that she can control, you know, other people. Maybe it's just that she can control certain people because of how they react to her, because of her ability. We know Delta is completely enamored by her, so it was easier for her to control Delta because of how Delta was affected by her abilities. What I'm trying to say, like, maybe it won't work on someone like Shikamaru or Sasuke or Naruto, because they might not have the same look, or her ability might not have the exact same effect on those characters as opposed to Delta, is what I'm trying to say. As soon as Shikamaru dodged Delta's attack, his shadow paralysis jutsu retracted, allowing Code and Ada to successfully go through the portal created by Code's claw mark. Shikamaru, in a confused state, says, "What the hell are you doing? Get a hold of yourself." As Ada proceeds to go through the portal, she says, "I'm sorry, it's been a pleasure, but I had to say goodbye for now." Ada's head is sticking out from the portal, and her last words for Delta are, "Thank you, I'll see you soon." Jesus Christ, they are having way too much fun with this. To which Delta replies back and says, "I love you too, Ada. You definitely have to come see me again." Oh boy. Alright, so yeah, this is the last one. Code is the last one to go through the portal, and before he goes, he has some words for Shikamaru. Code implies that Shikamaru must be prepared for retaliation once his name is now on his list. Shikamaru just replies back, "Get out of here." Just as Kode's eyes are about to go through the portal, Kawaki makes his entry via the air duct. Code doesn't miss Kawaki's entry, but proceeds to retreat. In front of Kawaki are just Code's claw marks, meaning that Code and Ada have managed to successfully escape with Amado. Shikamaru or Kawaki and Shikamaru share. Hold on, let me just let me zoom in to make this a bit easier. There we go. It's still a little blurry, but whatever. Where were we? Has been here all this time. Shikamaru requests Kawaki to use Ishiki's dojutsu Sukuna Hikona in order to remove or destroy Code's claw marks to ensure that he doesn't infiltrate Konoha again. Kawaki tells Shikamaru that he's here to speak with Amado. So where is he? Shikamaru says maybe he's already dead. Kawaki, surprised, says what? The scene switches to the lair with Amado sat down, and in front of him stand Damon, Code, and Ada. Damon is standing over Amado with his hands in his pockets. Code is standing behind on the left side of Damon, and Ada is leaning against a shelf counter on the right hand side of Damon. In the background, you can also see Bug hiding behind the entrance, and Damon just says, "Hey old man, long time no see." The guy with Code, it's Damon. What the heck? Code proceeds to pick up Amado and pin him against the wall, grabbing him by the collar and saying, "Well, there's nowhere to run now, so have you given up yet?" Amado asks Code what will happen once he takes the restrictions off. Amado and Code share dialogue with each other. Amado doesn't trust that Code will spare his life after he removes his limiters. Code says to Amado that he is already on edge, and to test his patience will result in more danger for Amado. Amado, seeing that Code is unwilling to negotiate, states, "The restrictions will be lifted immediately. I won't resist. In return, please spare my life." Code, unpleased with Amado's response, calling him a man without any pride. Amado says that he's not interested in any of the crap and suggests to get on with it. Code gets closer to Amado and says, "You're a mouthy old man, just get on with it and stop wasting your time talking nonsense." A moment of silence in the room. Damon and Ada haven't said a word since Amado and Code started speaking. They're merely observing. Code and Amado make eye contact for one final time. Amado finally tells a sort of command. As soon as Amado said those words, a cloud of smoke surrounded Code. He seemed to be in the middle of this cloud of smoke. We see the smoke blowing everything away. Damon's hair have been blown back by the wind. On the second half of the page, we see the smoke disappearing and Code standing in front of Amado with a backshot look of Code. We then see a full front view of Code's new design or look. His hair is now more spiky. However, the main difference is his eye, which now have way more detail, and not just in the eyes, but also around it. His pupils are circled sharply, new eyebrows on top and below the eyes. Everyone around the room looks surprised by Code's new transformation. I mean, can you really call it a transformation? I mean, he just got some new eyes, and his hair is just a little, like, it's styled differently, so it's not really Well, I mean, I guess you could call it transformation if you want to. Code stares at his incomplete karma and proceeds to clench his fist, suggesting that he now feels way more powerful than before. Second last page of the chapter, and we have a full page dedicated to Code, Damon, and Ada. Code looks at Ada and says, "It's nice to feel as if you won't lose to anyone." And I wonder when he says to anyone, he's also talking about Ada and Damon, because yeah, I get the feeling he's probably going to want to get rid of them, but I don't know. Uh, I I don't know if it'll go the way he expects it. The chapter ends with Code, whose limiters have been taken off, pinning Amado against the wall and telling him that, "I'm sorry, Amado, the wound is hurting. I'll free you in an instant from that pain." And the last page previous side text says, "Code's restrictions have finally been lifted. A deadly blade approaches Amado, who has just been used." A translator note says, "has just been used" equals has served on its purpose. So there you go. That's the whole chapter from beginning to end. So Code officially now has his limiters off. It's official. It happened. You know, I gotta be honest. I didn't think that it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be one of those things where, you know, they sort of hint that it's going to happen, but they kind of swerve you by not actually having it happen. Like Code is going to maybe die before it was going to happen. But no, yeah, here he is, Code without his limiters off. And now we will see how powerful Code actually is, because for a while now, people have been wondering, like, how powerful is Code without his limiters? I mean, we know he was stated to be stronger than Jigen, but like I said before, we don't know which version of Jigen was Amado talking about. Like, is it base Jigen, Ten Tails Jigen, or Karma Mark Stage 2 Jigen? We don't know. I personally don't think he's stronger than Ishiki. I just don't think that that's possible. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, we don't know if maybe there's going to be a fight in the next chapter. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, guys, that's going to be the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to hit the bell icon, excuse me, to be notified whenever I post a new video. All right, guys. I hope I'll see you for the next video, which will be my official review of the chapter when it gets released in about a couple of days. Bye for now.